Hello everyone, my name is Bavitra. I am from Team 3. Here's a list of my team members. Today we will be talking about our project work on fingerprint scanner system for Express Scripts. As part of this project presentation, we will be covering following topics which we have done as part of our project execution. To start off, let's talk about the industry and background information of the company. Express Scripts is one of the largest pharmacy benefit management services company in the US. They provide pharmacy services to government agencies, self-insured employees and workers. They also process claims through a network of pharmacies. They handle automated home deliveries. We had some references that explained to us how the employee tracking system works at the company currently, which gives an idea to propose an advanced solution to address the issues that they are facing. So our problem statement for this project is the current employee clocking system at the organization needs improvement to address security, efficiency, and convenience, which are common when there is ID's badge scanning system in the company. When an employee tries to use another employee's ID to gain access to the building, or if an employee forgets to get the access enabled, sensor enabled ID to work, they'll have to go to the security at the front desk to get a temporary pass to gain access into the building. Even though they are able to enter into the building, still the temporary pass does not have any sensor enabled on it. So if they need to gain access into any conference room or any access enabled room inside the premises, they'll have to be dependent on their co-workers throughout the day. So to address all the issues, we propose to implement fingerprint scanner system for tracking their employee attendance and payroll processing. Biometric scanning system is one of the advanced topic that's in the industry. We found a lot of companies that are moving to biometric scanning system like Dunkin' Donuts, Hilton Hotels. They have recently migrated to employee tracking system using biometric scanning system. So once we have finalized our solution, we moved on to a planning phase where we understood the current system's functionalities. The access system of the organization is they scan badges for entering to the building. Badges are scanned multiple times to gain access into building foyer or any conference rooms or access enabled rooms. The feature of the current system is it does satisfy the business requirement. It manages employees' access to the building. It continues providing access to the employee as long as he scans the badge into any room inside the premise. There is sufficient visual employee identification, which is the business requirement for tracking the employee's attendance and payroll processing. Reports are periodically generated from the scanning system, which is used for the payroll processing as well. As part of our solution, the to-be system that we are proposing is to install a fingerprint scanner system at all the access-enabled entrances in the premises. So the features of the new system would be the employee can enter or exit the building by clocking in or out with the scan of their fingerprint. The system validates the scanned fingerprint against the pre-validated fingerprint of the employee and provides a response with the clock in or clock out option. Now there is some logical action that gets performed, which are if there is a clock in, the supervisor gets notified about the employee's clock in. If there is a clock out, he gets notified as well. If the fingerprint read is invalid, then security at the front desk is notified saying some unauthorized person is trying to enter into the building. And the employee is also prompted with a message saying his or her fingerprint is invalid. So we believe this solution will provide following value-add features to the organization. There will be reduced time thefts. There will be increased security because fingerprints cannot be shared, unlike badges. And there is increased accuracy of the clock in and clock out from the biometric system. And since biometrics is one of the advanced employee tracking system, if a company implements it, there is a possibility of increasing the competitive advantage of the company. And there is also the inconvenience that gets eliminated where the employee has to report to the security for gaining temporary access when they don't have their IDs with them. So once we are done with the planning phase, we have moved on to requirements determination phase, where we have identified a set of functional requirements and non-functional requirements. Our functional requirements is mostly administrative before the implementation, where they have to set up fingerprint scanner system. The HR has to provide a consolidated list of all the employees whose IDs has to be generated. whose fingerprints have to be gathered as well so that they can be validated and enrolled beforehand. The facilities department has to provide a list of prospective vendors from whom we can buy the machines. We also propose to create certain customized screen layouts and database tables which are to be installed on the machines. And the admin also has to create individual user IDs for every employee, grouping information for the employees and what kind of access levels each and every employee has to have. So to continue with the functional requirements, once the solution has been implemented, the post-implementation requirements would be fingerprint recognition login process and invalid login process. And as part of the user interface, we have screens that are being built. And there is also when a new employee gets enrolled into the company, it is the responsibility of both the employee and the administrative staff to get his fingerprint enrolled. And also whenever an employee leaves the company, it is the responsibility of both employee and the administrative staff to remove any access that has been offered to the company or get his fingerprint removed from the system. So as part of the non-functional requirements, we understand fingerprint scanning system is going to increase the amount of time an employee has to wait at the gate compared to the batch scanning system. So the requirement is to limit that time lag as much as possible. So we propose to have the system response time as 5 seconds. So even the rejection message should be printed within 5 seconds, or a rejection message should be displayed every time there is an invalid login, and a consent from employee has to be obtained for enrolling their fingerprints since it is a sensitive information. And there is also the company's projected growth is higher, so we propose the system should be scalable enough to up to 300%, like in terms of size and space constraints. Employees will also have to scan their finger to obtain access to the main entrance or any access enabled rooms. The system's availability should be 24/7. So once the requirements has been determined, we move down to finding the appropriate requirement analysis technique, which we have chosen business process reengineering. As there is significant amount of change to the infrastructure and the employee tracking system at the organization level, we chose business process reengineering to be the appropriate technique for the solution. And we are also following various requirement gathering techniques like interviews, joint application development, and documentation and observation techniques. As part of the interviews, we will invite facilities department, administrative department, architects from database and application department to get involved at the very early stage of the project. And as part of the joint application development, we would invite project team and the management members, architects from the software development team, facilities department, the end users, which would be some of the key employees, the facilitator, and the scribes of the joint application development sessions. Documentation and observation will be followed throughout the project, where the minutes of each and every session is recorded, questionnaires will be recorded, answers will be reviewed periodically to keep the progress on track. So once the planning and requirement is over for the project, we move on to use case analysis. So this is the use case diagram that we have come up with various actions that can be performed by our two primary actors, which are employee and admin. So the employee can activate his account. He can scan and save the fingerprints. They can fill out the personal information as soon as their IDs are created. They will be implementing their fingerprint scanning on a daily basis to gain access into the building. They will also log in to check their status of time attendance, or also to view and generate some reports. Similarly, the admin will also receive the information from HR with the list of all the employees. They'll create IDs and grouping information. They will also add and delete the employee information as required. They'll send their periodic reports to the managers and admin and HR for payroll processing. Now, a couple of components from this use case diagram are the existing process. So as part of our project scope, only the new changes are being developed. So any reporting and portals that are already existing that are being used for employee tracking and for payroll processing will remain the same, and we'll work on interfacing our new screens and database tables and changes into the existing system. So we also came up with some data flow diagrams in various phases that describe the process that we are trying to implement. First would be the creating employee accounts, which will be between the admin and employee, where the admin will create various IDs and grouping informations, will set up access level information for each and every employee depending on his category. An employee's responsibility would be to enroll their fingerprints, create as soon as their IDs are created, they'll have to fill out the personal information to fill all the personal information. So all their interaction will be against the logging system and the scanner database that we are building. Second would be the fingerprint extraction process. So here there are variety of techniques available on the market which does the fingerprint extraction process. There are some advanced technique called mini-to-way. So it is specific to the vendor that is selling the machines to the company. So the proposed solution is to use the technique that they process the fingerprint. So mini-to-way is one such technique which analyzes the fingerprints ridges and generates some unique code. So each and every fingerprint is unique for a person. So we propose a unique ID generated for every fingerprint that the employee enrolls and gets stored into the database. So fingerprint scanning process is a everyday process where the employee scans their fingerprint, view attendance report, and admin will also periodically view the fingerprint system for their own purposes. So once the process flow has been set and the use cases has been set, we move on to our entity relationship diagram, where we propose to create customized tables for Express Scripts to create two repository tables, one with the employee information, one with the manager information. And we also have to create one fingerprint table that has a fingerprint ID, which is unique for every employee. And it will also be linked with the employee whose fingerprints are being enrolled. And there is a column for number of fingerprints where we have set the limit to 3. So an employee can set a maximum of 3 fingerprints as part of this, and there is also placeholders for all 10 fingers, so employee can choose from which finger he wants to enroll for the fingerprint scanning process. So once the use cases has been analyzed, we move on to our design acquisition strategy. So as part of this, we analyzed and evaluated various solutions that is available for employee tracking system other than ID badge scanning process. So apart from finger scanner process, there is also an old-fashioned method called keypad entry, where an employee can enter a unique key code like a password to gain access into the building. Or there is a more advanced biometric scanning system called retina scanning system. So when we weighed our options against the key features that we are trying to implement as part of the solution, which is ease of use, efficiency, security, convenience, reliability, cost, speed of installation, fingerprint scanner solution gained high weightage, which is why we have proceeded with that solution. So now moving on to user interface design, the following screens were built for the scanner system, which is a welcome page. So every time an employee reaches the entrance of the building or any conference room, the scanner system will always display a welcome page. And as soon as he or she enrolls her fingerprint, scans her fingerprint, there will be a UI screen that displays clock in and clock out response page. Based on clock in and clock out, there will be separate screens that shows the message, and there will be an invalid login response page. This slide talks about all possible screens that can happen as soon as an employee scans his or her fingerprint. The very first is the welcome page, and the other screens are the response pages based on the actions. I have a demo video that explains how the screen works. I'll be playing that video now. So this is the welcome page that has the time and date displayed all the time. So and as soon as the employee scans the finger and clicks the in button, so it will be the message that will be printed that says hello and with the time and date on it. And once OK has been clicked, it will come out to the welcome page. Or an employee can clock out by clicking the out button, which will show a time and date message with the name on it. and we'll get back to the welcome page, and when there is an invalid fingerprint enrolled, this will be the message that gets printed, and it will come back to the welcome page. Now if the OK button is not pressed after clocking in or clock out, the welcome page will resume after 5 seconds, and the system is set in such a way that an employee has to click on either of the side of the welcome screen to get those messages. Is only for prototype purposes. In real time, all these response pages will be based on the fingerprint scanning. Now moving on to data storage design. So the database system will be used as is from the vendor machine system. Most of the biometric scanning system that are being purchased from a vendor will come with the built-in screens or built-in database. So as part of the solution, we are proposing to create customized tables and customized screens, but we will still use the existing database and will connect to the database. So customized tables were already mentioned as part of our entity relationship diagram, which will be created on request basis at the vendor database system. Fingerprints will be extracted using techniques like Mini2A, which is vendor specific again, and that generates a unique ID or code, which will be generated for every fingerprint that's enrolled by an employee and stored on the fingerprint table. Existing report formats of the reports will be the same, existing portals will remain the same, and throughout the project that is out of scope, and interfacing of the new changes to the existing system will be in scope for the project. So now that the screen has been built and the solutions has been defined, we move on to planning the implementation, how we will proceed with the implementation. So first part would be to integrate all the components. So the employees' fingerprints will be gathered, connections will be established between the UI screens and the existing portals. Connection will have to be established between the database and the new tables that are created and the scanning system. As part of testing, there will be various testing, perform unit testing, system testing, and all the testing will consider the functional and non-functional requirements that have been determined as part of the project. Installation and deployment will be carried out in two phases. First would be to install the hardware that we purchased, and next would be to install the software at both the places, both at the fingerprint scanning system at the organization level and at the vendor level to install the tables. And since this is a infrastructure change, there will be a decommissioning as a system phase as well, where the hardware will be removal, which will be the ID badge scanning system, and any softwares that were related to the existing current employee tracking system will have to be removed as well. Any access that have been provided to the employees to access those systems will have to be revoked as well. So since this is a new system, there has to be some form of training that should be provided to the employees. So we propose to give the employees a mandatory training for 4 hours to explain how to use the fingerprint scanner system and its functionalities, and to explain how the employee tracking system and payroll processing will function after the implementation. Managers and supervisors who need to approve the time of their employees will be given a separate additional training to explain the impacts and changes because of this new solution. As far as product support goes, hardware support will be deferred to the vendor that supplies the machines to the company. Any support or maintenance activities related to the UI screens or the tables will lie with the IT department of the organization. So considering all the areas that we have covered as part of this project, we believe the end product has following values. We have improved the security in the employee clocking system because unlike badges, fingerprints cannot be shared. So each and every employee has to use their own fingerprint to gain access into the building. There will be elimination of the need for employees to report at the front desk security to gain a temporary pass if they don't have their IDs with them. There is reduced cost of maintenance when a damaged proximity sensor card has to be replaced. Or there is also a possibility to enable remote clocking in or clocking out of the employees by having some future software development possibilities as well. So that is all about the project execution of fingerprint scanner system. I would like to thank you for watching our video, and if you have any comments or suggestion, please post it on the discussion forum on eReal. Thank you for watching.